Hello and welcome back to the Avoid the Tyrewall podcast. Today I'm joined by special guest Chris Mccarthy. Chris, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, thanks very much for having me on the podcast. It's great to see you, Teagan. So my name's Chris. I commentate on the Formula 2, Formula 3 championships and 24-hour Le Mans as well. And I also do a charity event called Purple Sectors as well, which I launched a couple of years ago and now run with Jenny Gale and Neil Cole. But most people will probably know me from commentating F2 and F3, which is great fun. Great fun, I have to say.
So obviously you've got like a very impressive career as a commentator, but going all the way back, how did you become a fan of motorsport?
It was, I guess, through a friend really who had a kart at the time and took me down to have a go. And once I'd had just a couple of laps in the seat, then that was it. I was pretty hooked, to be fair. So I managed to convince my dad to get me into the sport, and he used to take me down to a track called Revolution Karting, which is in Bow in London, and he used to take me and my mates there on a Sunday, where they did like a 90-minute session for about 15 quid, which was really good value, like a kids club. And I used to go there every Sunday for about a year and a half. And during that time, it was around 2006. I used to watch not only F1, but I used to watch GP2 as well, and started to quickly become a Lewis Hamilton fan and a fan of Will Buxton's commentary, as well as people like James Allen's commentary. So I really not only got into F1, but the support classes as well.
You said 2006. This is probably going to make you feel quite old. I was born in 2006.
There you go. Yeah, no, it's going back a little while, isn't it? But that of course was a great time for GP2. Obviously, that famous Turkey race and stuff. So it's going back a little while. It feels ages ago that all happened, but yeah, that was sort of where it started for me, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Can you talk us through your journey into like becoming a presenter and a commentator? Like, because I know you've not maybe got the conventional route in.
No, not at all. It wasn't something I ever set out to do. I actually wanted to work. Always wanted to work in TV, but I wanted to be like a assistant director, which is like if you ever watch a TV film, first assistant director is the first credit that you see roll up on the screen. Partly that was why I wanted to be it, I guess, but also just because of you never really had to get your hands dirty being a first AD. You kind of just shouted orders, and it seemed like really good fun. So I tried doing that for a while, but I then I used to race for 5 seasons, and then I had to stop due to being diagnosed with epilepsy when I was 17. So I was looking for a way back in, and I just started studying TV and film at the time to try and begin this kind of journey into TV, and that's where we were given a project to do an end of first year project to do a live TV production, and I decided to make mine filming kart racing live from the track, and that's kind of where it started for me, really. I managed to convince my college and the track, Wilton Mill, where I'd raced for 5 years, to bring some cameras along with my fellow college students and set up some cameras around the track, and we filmed a race, and then it kind of turned into a small business for me, actually. We ended up filming probably around 20 race meetings there, I'd say, in total.
Did you study, was it film and TV at like BTEC or like a degree level?
So I did a BTEC, and then I was looking into going into university. I had a couple of sort of offers, but I decided to not go to university in the end. I had offers to go to Lincoln and Northumbria, but I actually turned them down to start a career in TV. So I did 2 years working in the industry as a sort of runner and assistant director, working on kind of music videos, adverts, films, things like that, and it was really fun, but also hard work as well. Doing a lot of work for very little money, and not knowing where the next job was coming from. I've kind of gone from one career path into another similar one in this one, but it was great fun. But I then chose to sort of go from that to giving commentating a go as I started to get some offers doing commentating in kart racing, and I decided to try and go full time with that.
Yeah, I find that like a lot of the Sky Sports presenters don't actually have like journalism degrees, which is like you wouldn't expect, would you?
No, I mean, I don't think it's completely necessary, but it definitely helps. I mean, I think the thing that's helped me most is I started commentating kart racing in 2014, and that happened by complete accident. I mean, like I touched on, I used to film kart racing as part of a college, sort of coursework, and then that turned into a bit of a business, and then I just started to get offers to commentate kart racing, kind of from sort of British Championship to European Championship to World Championship, and that sort of became the goal, to just keep doing kart racing. During that time I was commentating on Ollie Bearman, Gabriel Bortoletto, Isaac Hadjar, Leo Fornaroli, the list goes on really, Rafa Kamara, all of those. Basically, if you go through the F2 grids, a lot of Kimi Antonelli, people like that, you go through all of these drivers. I got to meet them all when they were about sort of 10 years old, so I think that's maybe what helped me out a little bit. I think if you can learn the sport right at the grassroots, be it karting or single seat or a GT, then it will help you go through the ladder, I think. So I think that's where you can do a lot of learning, but having some kind of getting some learning in college, I think, does help as well. Even towards the start, I just commentate on old clips, and just record that myself. So I had it. So I did even winter sports. I used to just commentate on old Winter Olympics and save that, and then use that as like a show reel. Even though it wasn't me doing it live, it still was. This is what I could sound like if I did it. So I think that's another good thing I think people can take if they ever want to get into it. If you're not getting offered jobs, you can kind of make up your own show reels these days by just finding clips that you wanna have a go at, do some research on it as if you were getting paid to do it, and then commentate it, turn it into a show reel, and send it off to people, really. So that's what I'm currently doing in football. I'm commentating for a team called Hemel Hempstead, fully voluntary, and from that, hopefully, it will kind of lead to other things.
Fabulous. Do you have one standout moment in your career?
I'd say probably doing the 25 Le Mans 100th race. That was a really cool moment. I became the commentator for that in 2022. I do the English commentary for the fans track styles. Through Bruno van der Stick is the French commentator for that, the lead one, and I met him at a kart event in like 2017, and we just kept in touch. And when that opportunity came around, thankfully he was able to put my name forward, and I doing it in 2022 was amazing, but in 2023 that was a sold out event, because kind of COVID had really passed by that point, and it was we were celebrating 100 years by this point. So that for me, I'd say was probably the standout moment. Doing the kind of 100th Le Mans. I got to go on the podium after the race, and the access we got as working for the event organisers was pretty spectacular. So and just the atmosphere around Le Mans, having had COVID pass by that point, everyone was really excited. So for me, that was probably a highlight.
Did you find it like kind of difficult, obviously, like because it's a very long event, to like keep focus and like in the like kind of the graveyard shift in the middle of the night?
Oh yeah, I mean, with that one, we don't really have a schedule. So the first time I did it, I didn't really know when I got to go to bed. Like, and having epilepsy, I can't really just drive myself home either.
Yeah.
So there was like I remember we do all the support classes as well because we're obviously commentating trackside. And I remember, I think on the Saturday, I started at like 9 in the morning, I want to say, and it got to about midnight, and I sort of was like, do I get to go home, or am I just staying here all night at this point? And I started to prepare for, like, I think we just do the whole thing, and then at about 1:30, they said to me, yeah, no, you can go now. So I got to go back for about 6-7 hours at that point. So yeah, we do. But overall, I think I'd say we cover about 18 hours of the race, which is pretty spectacular, really. By the end, in terms of drinking coffees, it goes to around 20. I want to say, which is pretty crazy. But there is a coffee machine in there, and honestly, I just use it as to get a break. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
Kind of linking to that one, are there any specific challenges that commentators face that perhaps like normal people wouldn't expect or like the audience wouldn't expect?
I mean, it's good. That's a very good question. I mean, I think you're always going to be self-analytical of what you do. Naturally, you're going to get pressure from we live obviously now very social environment as well. So dealing with if you've not had your finest performance, comments from online, but even if you do think you're doing great, then that's always a thing. But in terms of what people might not expect, I'd say I mean in general, it's just dealing with the amount of things that are going on in front of you. You're going to have multiple screens. Sometimes you're dealing with an open talk back, which means that you can have about 3 or 4 voices in your ear constantly throughout the race at once, and you're having to commentate on the race, and that's probably something that people don't expect happens. So an open talk back system does sometimes happen, and that means you hear everything the director is saying, and that comes into your ear. So from down to what camera angle they want, or if they want a cup of coffee, basically. So, and you hear everything like that. So that's probably one of the challenges that maybe people don't realise. There are some quite good clips of that of how newsreaders have to deal with that. But yeah, I'd say something like open talk back is something that people don't really probably realise, but you eventually learn to deal with it and use it to your advantage, actually.
I think Tom Gamer said something very, very similar about like
Okay.
everything happening all at once.
Yeah. I did like a news reading job once, and I actually got coaching for that from a guy called Neil Cole, who hosts the FIA Awards, and he does the charity event with me. But he helped me learn how to deal with that, and our director there was called Dale Brown, and he came in and when I was doing this news reading job, and he immediately made us have open talk back and was very good at helping myself in particular learn how to deal with that. So it does take a little bit of practice, but there are techniques. You just have to almost watch the TV, listen to music, and and try and listen to both at once, kind of thing. So yeah, that's another good way to do it.
Earlier on, we touched on setting purple sectors. Would you be able to kind of talk to us more about what that is, kind of, the idea behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something that I really just came up with that as an idea back in 2023. I want to say at the end of 2023, at a Formula Regional event, when I was doing a bit of a photo shoot with an epilepsy T-shirt on, and the reaction I got from that sort of made me realise that maybe it was epilepsy in motorsport wasn't something that was ever talked about, but maybe it should be now. that was something. Then I reached out to a couple of charities, and the one that I really connected with the most was the Young Epilepsy Charity, and so I went and had a meeting with them in 2024, pitched to them the event that I wanted to do, which was a sim racing event where we would give people with epilepsy a chance to race against professional racing drivers, influencers, people from the media, like TV presenters and so on. And then obviously members of the public who are paid to come to the event, enjoy it the same way that the people from the charity will. And just throw a bit of a end of season party, if you like. So we booked a DJ and things like that. And we'll do it at November, so it feels like a bit of an end of season party. So that's what we did the first year. It was kind of thrown together a bit last minute in the end. We did it at Simply Race in Milton Keynes, and the reaction was really good. Everyone really enjoyed it, and so much so that we ran it again last year. We rebranded to Purple Sectors. I brought on board Jenny Gale, who presents for BBC Radio, and has done. She has her own connection to epilepsy, as her daughter has it, and then Neil Cole also has his own connection to epilepsy, as he had a family member sadly pass away with it. So that they both have their connections to it. So I thought with the three of us working together, hosting it together, we could make the event bigger and better. And that's, I think, what happened last year. Really, we really did push it, and not only did the event replicate itself with bigger guests. I mean, we had some really good guests there last year. Like Crofty was there, which was a really cool one. Jack Crawford, Tom Kerridge. But we also trained up 4 people from the charity to help us broadcast the event live. We had one in the commentary box, one on cameras, one in the gallery, and one being a team captain. So it's sort of giving people with epilepsy a chance to race, but also a chance to work in the industry now as well. So that's something that we're doing, and we're going to just look to keep moving forward. And we've had a lot of interest from a lot of people now looking to get on board. So yeah, it's something that we're already now beginning to talk about what we're going to do this year.
Yeah, because didn't you come up to Manchester, and we're looking at kind of doing one up north?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. So we looked at several venues, and Manchester was one of them. But in the end, we've got a really close relationship with Mike at Simply Race, and we felt Simply Race, Milton Keynes was probably the best way to go. But they also have a venue in Manchester, so we did go to Manchester, and we did have a look there as well. But it's like the Manchester venue is somewhere where we're looking at possibly for this year. So yeah, it's we're looking at various places basically, but and it's also, again, we're looking at trying to build on helping people get opportunities, because the people that we did give opportunities to are already now progressing into either into universities or into work experience. We also had people working there as so we had a photographer there, and she just reached out to us through the page, and she was 17 with epilepsy, and she did all the photography for the event along with a professional, and is going to now start trying to get jobs in karting. And we had someone doing social media as well, helping out in the evening, who again just through the charity got involved. So there was lots of different things like that happened. So we're trying to build a bit of a community. Our videographer as well, he's really talented, but again, the reason he was helping was because of he reached out because of his epilepsy. But on the night, it meant we had a real community of people who could all speak about how they're dealing with what they're going through for one evening at least. And then that I think that was the biggest success of it all, really.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it on social media, right? You know, Tilly Measures? I
Yes,
saw
yeah,
her videos. I was like, I have such FOMO. Like, this looks incredible. And like,
yeah.
I was looking at going, but it just wasn't feasible with university. But hopefully
Yeah,
this year.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, so we did a networking session before, which was great, and then a content creator race, which the idea for that came around probably a bit too last minute, to be honest, for it to be but again, we were a bit overwhelmed with how many people still came, and it was unfortunate that not all of them we couldn't keep everyone there, that we actually had to end up sending some people home. But the content creator race was really good fun. It's probably one of the funnest parts of the evening, actually, those guys racing each other, and then having that kind of 2 hours together. It was just content creators in the room with some of the members of the charity, and that just made for a really fun kind of couple of hours. They got a chance to get some content with our star drivers, and yeah, that's something, again, we're going to look to replicate this year with some changes, though. We got some feedback, and we're going to definitely change it a little bit.
So you've commentated on a lot of different series. Do you think like the atmospheres are like different? Obviously, we talked about the atmosphere at Le Mans, but like F2, F3, kind of, is it different to like Formula Regional?
I mean, sadly, I never get to go trackside for F2 and F3. I do it all from Biggin Hill. So yeah, as you can imagine, sometimes my timetable is a bit crazy when we're in Australia and stuff. But yeah, so I don't go in the paddock for F2 and F3. That's something I do all from the studio, which F1 TV have a huge team of people at their media and technology centre. But in terms of Formula Regional, the paddock there is very open, and we do a sort of a meet and greet of the drivers, an autograph session every race. That's been hugely popular. I mean, particularly when Kimi Antonelli was in the paddock, it was, really popular. But this year, our last round of this year was probably, I think, the biggest queue we've ever had for drivers to come through. So everyone's very open, very friendly. You can walk in and see everyone. Le Mans is a bit different because it's just such a big event, and so getting your passes have multiple numbers on, so getting in and out of everywhere is quite different. But it's a very festival atmosphere, Le Mans, and I'd love to get the chance to at some point go there as a fan. I actually paid for my dad to go, not last year, the year before, and he absolutely loved it. So yeah, I think that's more of a festival atmosphere, and walking through, I actually do get FOMO as well, to be fair, when I'm walking back from the commentary box in, because although you're there, you don't really get to experience it as such, because you can see all the concerts going on and stuff like that, and you think, oh, everyone's here is having such a good time. So yeah, I have to sneak out the commentary box every now and then just to listen to the cars. So that's probably the one I'd say is the one that I enjoy the most for the paddock, 100%. The Formula Regional stuff's good, but Le Mans tops it, absolutely.
Kind of linking to what you said, the F2, F3 races are on quite early in the morning. Does
Yeah.
this affect your race preparation at all?
Yes, yeah, it does. I actually get so another thing that we with F2 and F3 is people might know sometimes there can be a few penalties. So just a few. So yeah, so it really depends. Like if that is the case, then it can sometimes be a case of waking up at like 3:30 in the morning to and asking the team at reception in the hotel where we stay to print off grid sheets for me, and then writing down everything I need to do, like writing down all the notes. I'll prepare grid sheets with like everything written down on them, stuff highlighted out, and then because I do F2, F3, and last season I was doing Porsche Super Cup as well, I'd have to write all of that out before the first F3 race at 7, and that could take sort of about 2 hours. So it would be getting up about 3:30 in the morning to do that, and then head over to the studio an hour in advance. So yeah, and I keep sort of quite advanced spreadsheets on all the championships. So once you're back, fill in all of those till about 8-9 o'clock, and then go and get some food. So yeah, they're full on weekends. By the end of it, you're pretty knackered, but it's worth it when you when you get something good out of it. So yeah, it's definitely all worth it.
I mean, as a fan, like at the British Grand Prix, it was intense because obviously F2 and F3 are on that last crack of dawn. Um,
Yeah,
and like you'd have to get to the track for like 6 a.m. and then like the
yeah,
concert were on till 11. Like I think I ran on probably about 5 minutes of sleep the entire weekend. It
yeah,
was
yeah.
intense.
Yeah, I mean last season helped I think a little bit with British F4, so it gave us slightly more bet F3 every round. I think Monza is the earliest start because they have a lot going on there in the gap. So Monza is like a really early start, and it's like the last round of the season for both F3 and Porsche. So yeah, those ones are really early starts. But yeah, ultimately once you get there, it goes by in a flash as well. I mean, the turnaround between each race is really nothing. It seems a lot, but once you've kind of got your breath back, gone and got a drink or something, the next one's rolling out. So yeah, I do a double espresso between each race. I kid you not, and by the end I'm bouncing. Like it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've done a bit of F1 commentary as well. Do you think the prestige of F1 makes it kind of more difficult to commentate on? Like, obviously, I don't want to say it's snobby, but like, it's F1
Yeah.
has a snobby reputation.
It's more difficult. Yeah, it's more. It's obviously more technical, you know, and everyone really knows this stuff about F1. So, you know, people have got the drivers that they're cheering for, and it's a lot more technical. I think when you get to F1, you know, in terms of aerodynamics on the cars, tires, things like that, and strategy of the race is key. You know, whether it's going to be one-stop race, two-stop race, three-stop race. And then, you know, some races this year they could only use tyres for a certain amount of laps and things like that. F3, people like watching it because it's a sprint to the line, and F2, it's really straightforward. It's a one-stop race, and also people don't really know who the drivers are. So our job is kind of to tell you who they are. So I think that's why I enjoy doing F2 and F3 a lot, because we tell you who the drivers are, and they're all fighting to get to F1. Once you're in F1, that it's a case of staying there and winning world championships. So yeah, it is different, and I think the preparation changes completely. Everyone knows who kind of Lewis Hamilton is. You've just got to sort of tell you about his car and if it's performing well or not. So yeah, I think it sort of changes completely, really. So doing it for testing, it was a bit of a late call up to do that, but yeah, I sort of got my eye in a little bit with it, and doing F1 Kids was completely different. But doing the pre-season test last year, you sort of got a bit of an eye on that. But great fun, don't get me wrong, and I'd still love to get there at some point.
Fab. So I also read that you did the virtual 24 hours of Le Mans, I believe. It was the first ever one.
Yes.
Do you think that esports is helping the motorsport industry, whether it's through like accessibility, because obviously like it is slightly less expensive, or like just do you think that it's kind of becoming a thing?
I think so. I think, I mean, that was a very unique event. You know, it was COVID meant that Le Mans couldn't go ahead at the scheduled time, so instead they did Le Mans on the date, but they did it virtually, and all the teams bought into it. And we went to Paris to commentate it from a studio, which was, you know, it was pretty surreal, to be honest. We almost didn't get let in, actually. I remember that was pretty crazy, because of how strict things were. It was going through to Paris even was pretty difficult with all the forms and things like that. But yeah. No, it was a really cool event, and I'd say esports in general is helping the sport absolutely. All the drivers buy into it. It gives drivers opportunities as well. I think we've seen the likes of Sebastian Job for Red Bull has come out of esports and is now starting to almost build a career for himself. Chris Lullum is another good example I remember him in kart racing when I used to commentate in that, and he was like this top kart driver, and I don't know exactly why he stopped. I'm going to assume he ran out of money, but then became the kind of best esports driver, one of the best esports drivers in the world. And then Max Verstappen obviously saw his potential, and he now races alongside Max Verstappen, which is unbelievable. So yeah, I think it can give opportunities to people who are not otherwise going to be able to afford them. And overall, I think the motorsport world is looking towards not just kart racing, but esports for these kind of new, for who's going to be the next big talent, who's going to be the next Max Verstappen. So yeah, it's a different way to look for those drivers.
Yeah, another example is Lucas Blakely. He's done a couple of
Yeah,
GB4, hasn't he?
yeah, yeah. He's another one. Yeah. So, and again, that's a great story but it would have never happened. How convincingly he won was an example that the talent exists out there. So, I hope there's more competitions like that happen and that give these drivers opportunities. We need some kind of Netflix series, I think.
Yeah, that would be. Maybe we should make one.
There
Like,
you
start
go.
a channel. Um, so you are signed to Loudspeaker Agency. How did this
Yeah.
kind of come about, and how did you join them?
It was through I was working at the Autosport show in 2020, commentating on basically the Le Mans Virtual Series, and I was the one of the presenters for it was a woman called Louise Beckett, and I just had seen her in the hotel that evening, got introduced to her through a mutual friend of ours, and she told me about this agency that she might be starting up, that are going to be signing sort of commentators, presenters in the sport. And then I didn't really hear from her for a while, and then sort of out of the blue really, in I think May when lockdown happened, her and her business partner, Gemma Scott, reached out to me and said they needed a commentator to do a series on BT, well, what we know now as TNT Sports. Can I do it, basically? And that for me was how I started with them, and that was a really good starting point because during lockdown I had, as many of us did, I had no work at all, and then they gave me this kind of lifeline of every Monday commentating live on TV. So I signed with them immediately from there, and I've never really looked back since, to be honest. They've been absolutely great to work with. We set the target to get F2 and F3 within 5 years, and 5 years later that happened. So yeah, it's been really great working with them, and looking forward to seeing where we go next.
Fab. Touching on F2 and F3 again, do you think there's been a rise in the popularity of like the support slash junior series?
I think so. Yeah, I think people, do want to find other things other areas to enjoy the sport, and I think there's been some very big names come out of the junior categories as well. Naturally, I think this year will be one of the biggest years for F2 there's ever been. Colton Herta joining the championship, as not only just him but Nico Verone as well, joining the championship as a Le Mans winner, and he's from Argentina. So I think having those two people on the grid alone, along with this like Brazilian superstar who's just won F3, I think it's going to be probably one of the biggest years for F2 there's ever been, and F3 as well. There's a lot of really good talent in F2 and F3 at the moment, and I think people are just really intrigued to see it. And not only that, but F1 I think went through a really great period of great races and then sort of tailed off a bit. We had a really good championship fight in the end this year, but I don't really think many people expected it to be so close with Max and Lando. So, but yeah, I think people are really enjoying watching F2 and F3 and how close it's always been. So I think this year it will be the biggest year for F2.
Yeah. Do you think that Colton Herta kind of leaving IndyCar for F2 is kind of going to feed the IndyCar is where the failed F1 drivers go, or like where the people that couldn't make it go to F1, where the people who couldn't make F1 go to kind of storyline?
I mean, it certainly makes a big point, doesn't it? I mean, it certainly suggests that, look, if you want to go to F1, then there's only one way, and that's that you've got to come to F2, basically. So, for him to do that says to me, yeah, I think you're absolutely right, basically. I think when you go to IndyCar, you've kind of you're in. So, but yeah, I absolutely do think that him doing that makes a big statement that F2 is the way, is where you have to be. You're in the paddock with the drivers. The teams can hop you up, and that's why we've seen the likes of Felipe Drugovich essentially sit on the bench for sort of 3-4 seasons. So so yeah, it makes a massive statement, and it's going to make the kind of fight for seats in F2 really competitive. And we've seen some pretty big drivers miss out on seats actually. So I'll be interested to see that fight for seats next season as well. I know we haven't even started this one yet, but Tim Tramnitz is a name that hasn't even appeared on the grid yet, and everyone expected him to be one of the first names announced. So he's not at Red Bull anymore either. So I don't know where his future goes, but yeah, he was a great talent, and that just shows that everyone's really. I think when Colton was announced, that everyone was quickly, I think, jumping to get their name on the grid. So yeah.
Yeah, because there's been quite a few. I mean, there's one driver left to announce at VAR or VAR, however you want to say it. But I don't think it's going to go to Tim Tramnitz, unfortunately, because
no,
I've heard a whisper of who it'll be, and it's a very obvious choice. But yeah, Tim Tramnitz, like, he is so good, and obviously, like you said, no longer Red Bull associated. So
yeah, no, it's a real shame. I think he has some attachments to Formula E teams, but I think that. Who knows? Maybe that's where he'll put his focus now, into that paddock, and just try and. Because he'd done some testing there, so maybe that's where he'll go. But he really deserved to be on the grid next year, so I hope we see him back. But yeah, I think there will be a big shift in the F2 grid at the end of this season. So yeah, let's see.
Is there any driver that you've just like looked at when they're racing and just thought, wow, this person is talented, like they're gonna make it?
I mean, probably a popular answer if you've asked this to a few people, but Freddie Slater, for me. I've known Freddie since he's 8 years old, so I've seen him come through the ranks, and even at that age, he's just raw talent. I mean, people might not think that now, but honestly, even when he was 8, he was just so talented. He was beating people who were 13 years old. And he did a race in Vegas when he was 8, and I think it was the Super Nationals, which is sort of a go-kart race in a car park in a Las Vegas hotel, and he lost it at like the last lap, last corner. But yeah, from that moment onwards, I remember watching that live and thinking, yeah, he's so talented, this kid, and he's just always been 5 years beyond his age, and. It still is now, and I think we've got a driver who could easily be an F1 world champion there. So for me, he's always been the standout driver, having known him for so long as well. There might be a bit of British bias there, but I do think, him. Rafa Kamara is an amazing driver as well. So I think, that's another one, but for me, Freddie Slater is definitely the standout.
Yeah, I was quite surprised when he did Formula Regional last season, like, because his F3 test times were like some of the top times from what I can remember. So it just seemed like a bit of, like a random choice or an odd choice to go and do Formula Regional rather than making a straight step up.
It's probably following a plan that they want to do, but he's got time on his side with his age, and going to win the championship now. He's got it's another championship under his belt, and I think he probably will be one of the favourites to win F3 this year. Ugo Ugochukwu, for me, might be his biggest challenger, or arguably could be one of the favourites as well. But yeah, I think it's going to be close. I don't think it's like written down that he'll win it, but I think he's got to be up there to be one of the favourites. So if he goes and wins it, then I think F1 teams will be fighting over him. So yeah, Yeah, it's I'm intrigued to see how he gets on
Yeah.
when the test comes around. But already in the New Zealand championship, it looks pretty close.
Yeah, I once heard that Ugo Chukwu was like just on the cusp of being too tall for single seaters because he is an immense individual. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. When you see him, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. He is a tall lad, but gotta say, what a nice, yeah. He's a nice kid, and Ugo, yeah, very talented driver. In kart racing as well, hugely talented. He's always had that silver crash helmet as well, and he's done really well. And I've got to say, this year, don't know. He seems he's got a bit of like a new look going on, and don't know. He just seems he's got a new bit of confidence going as well. And winning everything on that first weekend in New Zealand, I'm interested to see where he goes actually this year.
definitely. If you could give yourself, like when you were younger, one piece of advice, what would it be?
Uh, oh, uh, Good question. I don't know really. I guess just to never give up. I get to be honest. There was a lot of times where that's almost been the case. Plenty of times where I not really think it's going to work out. So I think that would be the advice I'd give myself, 100%. Just to keep going, and even now, there's a lot of things I want to happen. So I just keep advising myself just to keep going, and never really give up on what you want to do.
Have you ever had a particularly challenging or controversial race to commentate on, and like how did you handle it and the potential
Oh,
backlash?
I mean, yeah, we had some. Well, obviously, we had the big first corner crash in F2 this last season, and then we had one in Porsche Super Cup immediately after. Um, yeah, I mean that's always a difficult thing to do because um, immediately that you're commentating on an incident that's going to go viral, um, and but you have to ultimately call it how you see it. You can't the pictures. You can't. You can't. The pictures are. It's pretty obvious from the pictures what's happened. So you just have to call it as you see it, so to speak, and that's it really. So that's something I've always tried to do and tried to do even more throughout last season. Just kind of say it how it is really, and yeah, that one was particularly difficult. It's even harder when you know the drivers. I've known both Alex and Victor for many years, but ultimately, yeah, it was one of those things, wasn't it? You could see exactly what happened. And then in Porsche Super Cup, it was the same thing. We had a massive crash in that one, which took out about 13 cars. So
Right.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, because social media wasn't the best place to be, let's say, after the F2
No.
incident. It was
No.
volatile.
Yeah. No. It wasn't. I can imagine it wasn't great. So I was almost glad I was busy doing doing the Porsche race straight after. But the same thing happened there. So there you go.
Um, so you've also commentated on the Olympics, I believe. How
Yeah.
different is commentating on motorsport to something like the Olympics?
Hugely different. That was a great opportunity that the guys at TNT Sport gave me, and it was really fun. I have to say, preparation for it was quite difficult. I mean, the channel helped me out a lot. Commentating, the main thing I did was 3x3 basketball, which I'd never really watched before, but completely different because with doing something like F2, you're going through the course of a season, and then at the end you're going to get a champion. But doing knockout sport is really fun to do because everything's on the line, and for quite a few of the athletes there, this is probably their only time they're ever going to do an Olympics, and then they might go back to their kind of normal lives, if you like, where they're not really going to get recognised. So this is their chance to be on the world stage in front of a huge kind of in front of a huge theatre of people on the world stage to go and win a gold medal before going back to just going back to normal. So that was the biggest thing to get that emotion across to someone who's just flicked on the telly and gone, I fancy watching a little bit of this, was the most enjoyable part of that experience, actually. And then that, I don't know, you probably didn't really see it, but the 3x3 basketball match was won in overtime in the last throw of the game. So it was probably one of the best sports of the of the games, actually. That's how it was won. It was a bit like Coach Carter because France lost it with the last throw of the game. So it was actually really cool.
What is your dream race to commentate on?
Oh, I'd say Formula One British Grand Prix. Yeah, I'll have to go for that.
Fair enough.
100%. Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, thank you for
And please do join us for Purple Sectors. And anyone watching, we are on Instagram at Setting Purple Sectors, so do follow us for all the updates. We'll be getting updates out in the next few weeks. So yeah, make sure you stay tuned and please do come along and join us.
I'll put a link in the description of the video. Thank you for watching this week's episode of the Avoid the Tyrewall podcast, and thank you to Chris for being a guest. And yeah, see you next time.